Ah dear, another 1960s transistor radio. Ooh. This one's come here because it had a loud hum. No matter what you were doing, there was a loud mains hum. And yes, you've guessed it, it turned out to be a Duff electrolytic capacitor in the power supply. Nothing too unusual about that. This set must be 40 years old if it's a day, surely. It looks it, doesn't it? However, the more eagle-eyed among you will have spotted that this isn't just a transistor radio. I get the feeling these days I'm being hunted by 8-track machines. They won't leave me alone. But where does the tape go? Well, the answer to that one is in there. You see, there's your channel selector, amplifier controls obviously. What's this left and right business? Seems to be only one box, doesn't it? And tone control and the little pilots to indicate what channel is actually played. FM medium wave scale for the radio, little stereo lamp that comes on. It won't be an LED, this is too old for them. On top is your function switch, tape, medium wave and FM. And here obviously your tuning. Yes, this is a little bit peculiar, this thing. Here is the other half of it. It can be clipped to it so that you can carry it as one, although it won't operate in that state. The power supply for running on mains or battery is in here. And if you look at the back of it, I open up the lid here and get that off, you'll see there's room for 8 D cells in there. And of course the mains lead can all be curled up in there, although this was obviously not made with our rather hefty English plugs in mind, because that just will not fit into there at all. And you can see there the little metal mountings that clip into similar fittings on the back of the radio itself. It was said in the past years ago that the 8-track machine was the only audio thing that knocked itself out of alignment 4 times every time you played an album. And it did. What used to happen when the tape came to an end, it never really did, because it was an endless loop, you see, and it was joined up with a metal foil strip. And as this was wound past a sensor next to the playhead, it would short the sensor out, throw a whopping big solenoid with a big clonk, and the head would then move up or down onto the next track. Now obviously all this click click pop bang clank stuff was going to knock the head out of alignment over a period of time, and to that end they've put this in. This little aperture, you put your Phillips screwdriver in there, turn it one way or the other until you can't hear any bleed through of a track next to you. That's what used to happen, you see. You'd get a faint bit of the next track playing, and it would detract from your listening pleasure, of course, and could even make the set sound crappy. And I remember many times trying to do a contortionist act in people's cars under the dashboard, because of course in a car it wasn't a particularly kind operating environment for an 8-track, and the heads used to get knocked out of alignment much more regularly by all the vibration and the bouncing. You know, you go over a cattle grid and that rattles it a bit and all this sort of thing. Whenever I did it, it always seemed to be a boiling hot day too, and you know what cars are like on boiling hot days when you open the doors, like whoa, you know. Oh dear, happy days, a simpler life, wouldn't it? Anyway, without further ado, let's power this thing up and see what it actually sounds like. That's FM.
Need to help someone.
A question that's been regularly asked, and I'll need to look into that. But again,
Self-harm is on the rise in the UK, particularly among under 25s. That backs up some figures Newsbeat got hold of earlier this year. The Department of Health claims that by some measures, rates are falling and is looking at ways to improve mental health care. Maria O'Kane's a psychiatrist.
The best case scenario.
Oh my God. Fruitcakes of the world unite. Who the hell wants to do all this self-harming? Anyway, let's try medium wave and see if there's anything happening in AM land. Whoa!
What am I supposed to do now? My blackberry way. I can't see you, I don't need you. My blackberry way. Should you want me back another day?
Oh, I wonder how many times this thing has played that tune. I bet quite a few in its time. Right. Try the old 8-track player.
And yes, we've just begun. Such feelings coming over me. There is wonder in most everything I see.
Now, as well as waiting for the little strip to switch tracks, of course, you can change channel by doing this. See, it's moved on to the next track.
But it's going to take some time this time, and I can't make demands. But like the young trees in the winter time, I haven't had a been. After all the tears we spent, how could we make amends? So it's one.
And there you are. It's amazing what doing a bit of cleaning up and tinkering does do. This thing was in a hell of a state when it came here. It all started because I went to fix somebody's DVD player. The lens was covered in dust, and I cleaned it, and they were made up with the fact it worked again, because they can't really afford to buy another one. They've realised that the cheap and nasty things that are on offer in some places just don't represent good value for money, because you know, you spend a hell of a lot more in the end on them because you have to replace them every few years, you know, every couple of years. So they said, well, we got this old radio, you know, take it away. So as well as giving me something for doing the repair, they gave me this as well. You see this cable here? This connects the power feed to the radio itself. So there's 3 leads in there, positive, negative, and one for the speaker positive. Anyway, bye for now.